Hello students, welcome back on our audio video lecture. I am Sheikh Fatima, your English teacher. I hope you all are safe. So we are going to continue with our chapter, that is on saying please, written by A.G. Gardiner. Alfred George Gardiner was born at Chelmsford in Essex in the year 1865. He is an essayist. His essays are uniformly elegant, graceful, and humorous. In this essay on saying please, Gardiner deals with the rude behavior of thoughtless people in their social dealing and stress the need of civility in our day-to-day life. He is not only an essayist but also a journalist. He wrote under the pseudonym Alpha of the Block. As a journalist, he started his career on the staff of the Essex County Chronicle and rose to be the editor of the Daily News in the year 1902. He made regular contribution to the Daily News and Manchester Evening News. These both were the news where he made regular contribution. In On Saying Please, he point out the value of good manners in social life and also emphasizes the importance of courtesy, politeness in daily behavior. He shows how polite speech and manner sweeten the atmosphere around and how discourtesy and ill manners spoil and pollute it. Some golden words like thank you, please, excuse me, sorry help us to lead our life smooth. Good manners add value to human life. It makes our day pleasant as well as the people who we come in contact with. So now we are going to begin with our chapter on saying please. The young liftman in a city office who threw a passenger out of his lift. The other morning he was fine, but of course. And the reason was the passenger who entered in the lift, he simply said top. And the liftman requested him to say top please. But again the man refused and he simply said topped. And in return the liftman threw the passenger out of lift, which was undoubtedly wrong. Behave bad with anyone. There is no such law which give us punishment. But that doesn't mean that we are going to attack, violent, or we are going to violate the law. For example, if a burglar break into a house and we catch him and we knock him down, so law will excuse me. It will give me permission to use violence only till that time I am not being attacked by someone. I have used this violence just in self-defense. But there is no such law that could attempt to legislate against the bad manner or could sanction the use of violence against something which does not itself recognize as a legal offense. Our sympathy is with liftman. We can understand why he might have done this, but that doesn't mean that we are going to violate the law, as law is equal to each and everyone and we have to accept the law. Just because we didn't like their manner or we didn't like their tone of speaking or we didn't like their scroll on their face, that doesn't mean we are going to kick or punch on their face or in their ear just because they are ill-mannered or ill-behaved person. As a fist punch will never be ideal, will not be same to everyone. It will go on punching each other even if we find someone staring at us. So if this continue, the gutter of the city will run with blood all day. There will be blood in the gutter all day of the city. I can be uncivil or ill-mannered person as much as I want to be or I can be, but law will protect me against violent retaliation. I may be haughty, boorish, but there is no penalty except if someone has written down an ill-mannered fellow. Law does not force me to say please or to change my voice according to the people. More than that, it also do not force me to wax my mustache or to dye my hair or to wear ringlet down my back. Writer want to say that just because I am not saying please, that doesn't mean that law is going to force me, because law does not even force on my appearance, how my appearance has to be, how should my face look like, whether it should be clean shaved or it has to be mustache, or whether I should wear a ringlet on my back, or whether however my appearance I want myself to be, I can go with it. Law does not recognize these sentiments of a feeling as a case of compensation. It does not even allow any allowance for moral and intellectual damage in this matter. This doesn't mean that damage are negligible. It was probable that the lieutenant was much more acutely hurt by what he regarded as a slur upon his social standing that he would have been if he had kicked on Sheen. The behavior of the lieutenant was not correct, but he behaved in this way just because he was deeply hurt. He thought that just because he is not holding a good position, so the people is not giving him respect. If he was being hit or slapped or kicked, so he would have even got a written compensation. The physical pain do fade away, but the pain which wound our self-respect may last forever. Says that he can understand or imagine why the liftman have thrown the passenger out of the lift, just because of the insult which he took from the passenger. And if he wouldn't have removed that insult or the rage there right in the incident, so he it will be there in his mind all over the day, and even after visiting at home, even he would have done the same with his wife. So the liftmen have done everything balanced by reacting in this way, so that he wouldn't have carried that insult all over the day or throughout his life. So right away in that situation he reacted in this way, and he made that insult balance. A self-respect or a dignity, how it poison our whole day. Here's an example given. Sir Anthony Absolute scold Captain Absolute, and in return Captain Absolute scolded his servant Fag. In fact, went down and kicked his boy Page. This how it continued from one person to another. So similarly, author also says that why the liftman have behaved in this way and why the passenger have behaved in this way might be reason could be this. The passenger might have got scold from his boss, and his boss might have been scolded by his wife at the dining table, and his wife might have been ill-treated by his chef, and his chef might have ill-treated by the maid. So this how the chain continues. Sometimes we even pollute our world by our stupid or ill-humored jokes. Bad manner probably do more poison than the crime committed in our country throughout the year. Words like please, thank you, these words can bring a small changes in our social being. These little things bring courtesy, good manners by which we can keep our life of machine oil and run sweetly. Bad manners create more poison in the life than the crime committed throughout the year. For example, the wife who was being punched by his husband, who though he was of a good nature, there are numbers of people who live a life of a martyrdom as the husband or their members are of loose temper. They get angry very easily. In return, they start using violence against them. So there are many wives who go through the violence, domestic violence, and who live the life of martyrdoms. but the law cannot become the guardian of a private manner. For example, how to behave at our home or how to speak, how to walk. Law cannot be a guidance, cannot protect us, cannot teach us. Similarly, court do not administer or look after our social or civilities of a speech or the expression of our eyebrows and all or our moods and manners. But though we are born to endorse the verdict against the liftman, the crime committed by the liftman will have to face the punishment from the law, whereas most people will feel pity for him. Most people will have a certain sympathy with him, while it is true that there is no law, whereas it is true that there is no law which force or compel us to say please, sorry, or thank you. There is a social practice much older and much more sacred than any law, which enjoins us to be civil. There is a social practice in a society which is much older and much more sacred than any law, which teaches us to behave good and to be good in a society. And the very first requirement of the civility is that we should acknowledge a service. Please and thank you are the small change which we pay our ways as social being. They are the little courtesies by which we keep the machine of life oiled and running. So this means the very first requirement of good manners is that we should accept or recognize the service given to us with courtesy, with good manners. For example, if we have took the services on hotel rooms such as by a home cleaner, or if we went in a restaurant and we took a service from a waiter, so, in return for that services, we should or we can use the word please, thank you to show the gratitude toward them. They are little courtesies by which we keep the machine of life oiled and run smoothly. They are here referred for the words such as thank you, please, and sorry. These words keep our communication friendly, and these words such as thank you, please, and sorry, they keep our communication friendly and cooperative. It also builds a foundation bond of sharing and helping each other. Instead of building a foundation of hatred or suppressing our superiority, dictatorship on other. It is a very vulgar mind that wish to command where he can have the service for asking and have it with willingness and good feeling instead of resentment. It means that it is very obvious that if you are asking any service from anyone or asking help from anyone in a very rude or in a harsh way, and in return you are expecting that person should be good toward you, polite toward you, so this will be stupid or this will be wrong enough. So here we have finished up with the first incident explained in this chapter. Now we will be heading toward the second incident which took place in the life of author, and author says it is actually very contradict to the title. In the initial incident, it was only a matter of saying please. But here we are going to see about the courtesy of a person, of a conductor, how gentle he is toward his people and toward the stranger. Writer says that bus conductor is that kind of a person who belong to those group of people who try hard to keep people happy and do their service meticulously. Here and there, you will also meet some conductor or some people who are hateful, displeasing. Definitely you get two or three kind of a people you meet. who think the passenger are their enemy, who tries to cheat with them, who try to tell lie. For example, if few people or if a person is there on a bus and he forgot his wallet at home, and he says that he don't have a penny to pay, and in return the conductor expression change, and they think that this person is cheating because he don't want to pay a fare or money. So, conductor change his facial expression and the voice, and they think that to keep those people in track, they have to be aggressive, and they have to raise their voice speaking so that they can give the money of the fare. Similarly, narrator gives example of the conductor who is an interesting person, and he says that one fine day he jumped on the bus and suddenly realized that he forgot to carry his money in the pocket, and on the same day he became aware of the conductor existence. He came to know about this conductor on the same day where he forgot to carry his money in his pocket. The moment when narrator realized that he forgot his money at home, he was annoyed. But of course, anyone who ever tries in train, bus, or wherever he goes, and unfortunately he forgot his money, credit card or debit card, so they get annoyed. They curse themselves for not bringing their things. Sometimes they even feel like a fool or a stupid person. So similarly, the same feeling was being arised in the mind of the writer. He was annoyed, and he felt like stupid. And yes, you won't be surprised by seeing the reaction of the conductor with a common dialogue. Yes, that's the old trick. If you say to a conductor that you have forgot your money at home, so he will obviously think that you are a regular customer who travel without money and give the stale excuses that you have forgot your money at home. As you don't have money to travel on bus, so there are some conductor who will kick you off from the bus, and there are some who is good enough to let you go from the bus. But in spite of getting down from the bus, there will be lots of pending work where you will have to make it all happen, where else you will be late for your office, or else you will be having some meeting which you have to take care of it. And just because you have forgot your money, all this thing has to be taken care of, will be late enough. Writer also says that you may, if you are lucky enough, you may also get a good conductor who will let you go from the bus. And on the same hand side, the author was searching penny in his pocket, whereas it was quite sure that he was not having money in his pocket, but still he was trying his level best to find out the one. But when he find that he don't have money to pay for the fare, so by making a faces, he said to the conductor that he couldn't pay the bus fare ticket, and he should have go back for money. But conductor reassured him, saying that you don't need to get down, you can continue your journey, I will make your ticket. So he asked him where you want to get down. So after asking him, he flung the ticket right in front of him, and the way he flung the ticket in front of him, it was like even if the author want to go to Hong Kong, even for that place he can arrange the ticket. When writer said that he don't have copper or coin, so conductor said that's okay, and asked him where he want to get down. So after answering his question, writer said to conductor that it was very kind of him and asked him where can he send the fare. So he answered, "You will see me someday, all right." He said to him that if not today or tomorrow or maybe sometime, you will see me. At that time you can pay me. And then luckily my finger still wandered in the corner of my pocket and lightened on the shilling, and the account was squared. And still on the simultaneously he was searching coin on in his pocket, and finally he got one penny and he paid the fare. In spite of paying the fare, still there was some happiness which was reflecting in the face of the writer, and that happiness was the behavior of the conductor which he behaved toward the writer. It was so good and it was so well mannered. He showed him so courtesy that he felt very happy, and he was so happy that in spite of giving money back to the conductor, still he was feeling happy. After few days, Arthur was sitting on the top of a bus, and suddenly his toe was being stamped, and it was obviously stamped very badly and heavily. I looked up with some anger on my face and saw my friend, the same conductor, with the cheerful face. And the very next movement, I got to hear apology from that person, from the conductor, and he also added, "I know these boots are very heavy." That means though the conductor was had done a mistake, and instead of making an excuse, he apologized and he said that I wear these shoes, heavy shoes, because even many times I was being stamped by others, and now I am stamping on other people. So he asked, "Hope I don't hurt you." And the writer said, "Yes, it wasn't, but of course it was hurt, but just because of his good nature, I assured him that he hadn't hurt me." Writer says that it seems to have an inexhaustible fund of patience with the conductor, and he also says that like with his behavior and with his service he make his customer so much comfortable. One time he writer have noticed that it was raining, and he went up and sat on a top of the bus. So the bus conductor asks the people, "Come inside, there is room upstairs." And if some old people are heading toward bus, or if they want to get into the bus, he will act like a son toward them. And if some small children are at the bus, he will treat them like a father or behave like a father. It was so good in all aspect. Writer says that this conductor had a soft corner for everyone. He was good, jolly, and he easily gel up with the people. And if a blind person get on board, it wasn't enough to set him down safely on the pavement. That means he not only makes sure that he get down properly, but he also help him to cross the road, or to reach him to the place where he can go safely. Writer says that what struck him particularly was the easiness which he do with his work. For example, he says that if a good manner, if a person do his work particularly with having a smile on his face and with a decent communication. So it create an atmosphere, a peaceful atmosphere, when everyone feel like to travel, where they will erase all their worries while going home or or going to office. So similarly, author says that as bad manners are infectious, similarly so is the good manner. For example, if we met with some people who are not good to us, so our whole day we it just ruin it. We just don't feel good. Our inner peace, a peace of mind, we completely lost it. We constantly think about the thing which he had. For example, if we had a fight, or if we like if we had a very bad experience in traveling, or we argued, or we fight with the conductor, all these things comes in our mind. So these things create a bad impact in our mind. Heading toward our chapter, author says that he had missed the route of the conductor. Might be possible conductor might have changed his route. Might be possible he went on another route. So he says that wherever he goes, he is making other people happy with his jolly nature. Not jolly, but a joyful nature. And the way he take care of his passenger, he is making other people happy. So similarly, on the very first incident, the liftman and the passenger, so in that case the writer is saying that he wants to share a story. He want to share a story of a Chesterfield with the liftman. Initially, in the Chesterfield time, London Street was without pavement, without footpath, as today we have. There wasn't there any footpath. So there was a bit kind of a wall where whoever take that wall, he or they had the driest footing. There was a two men on the opposite direction and walking on the same wall. So one man said, who met Chesterfield, that he wouldn't allow to walk a scoundrel. But the other one replied, I will definitely do. That means he will allow the anyone whoever wants to walk on the wall, he will definitely allow, however or whoever he is. And he bowed toward him and he went. So in this way, he wants to make realize to the liftman that even the liftman will also agree that Chesterfield revenge was much more sweeter. Even if the Chesterfield want to take revenge, he will have throw that person into the mud. Instead, he bent down and bowed toward him, and he said, "Ki even I will allow anyone whoever wants to walk on the wall." Similarly, even if the liftman would have acted very wisely toward the reaction of the passenger, so this wouldn't have been the action of the reaction. So here we have done with that chapter. I hope you all have enjoyed. If you have any doubt regarding this, please